Okay, let's do a little bit of mixing for our Module C, Lesson 8. This is Susan Abdella's Great Roses. So the first mix is the dark red mix, which is some red and 2 touches of black. And I made a little bigger pile of this because it seems like it's used. Well, we use it for some shading. We use it for the hollow part of the bowl of the rose, and it's also being used in making the medium mix. So made a little extra of this. So there's our dark red color. But our next mix uses this. It's 2 parts of this and 1 part of warm white. So I'm going to move this over, and then after I've done that, I will put the remainder of it into my wet palette. Okay, now let's mix our medium red. So you see we're stepping up in the value. I'm going to pull this over to my wet palette. Okay, then the next thing we're going to do is the dark red violet. So I've got red violet and a touch of black. That's really pretty, isn't it? Okay, and then the mix after that uses part of this mix. So medium red violet we're going to mix a ratio of 1:1. So I'm going to pull that over there, and then I'm going to move this to my wet palette, and we'll mix that. Okay, and we're going to go to our yellows. It's Hansa yellow and diarylide yellow mixed together. To make more, I will. Okay, so for our light yellow, it's warm white and just a touch of this yellow mix. So I'm going to pull this over into my palette. Now let's mix the warm white and the touch of the yellow mix so we can have our light yellow. I think I might want to put just a little more warm white in there because I had quite a bit of the yellow mix on my palette knife. So let's just add a little more warm white. Yeah, that's a lot more warm white. We might keep adjusting. Actually, though, I think that's probably about right. I'm going to jump down here because I have this light yellow on my palette knife. I'm going to jump down to the light cool green mix, which is Hansa yellow, cerulean blue, and light yellow mix. So since I have that on my palette, rather than wiping it off, we'll just go down and do this mix. Okay, now I'm going to leave that right there because I want you to see how it compares to the other mixes next to it when we get to it. But I just wanted to use that little bit of light yellow mix that was on my palette knife because that's really about all I needed. So now we're going to come over here and do a dark warm green, which is Hansa yellow and black, 4:1. Very nice. Okay, there's our dark warm green. Next is going to be a medium warm green, which is our dark warm green and our yellow mix. And that's going to be... Now I need to come back and I need to have 2 parts of my yellow mix, which is over here. That's why I wasn't sure if I made enough. Okay, there's 1 part. And 2. Looks like I just did make enough. Just a little bit left over for color comparison. Okay, so I'm going to put that on my palette next to the dark warm green, and you can see the difference in the values. Alright, now let's move down one more step. We're going to go to the medium cool green, which is cerulean blue and yellow oxide. And there we have a green. A nice kind of medium toned olive green. But it's olive green, but it's a cool olive green. You usually think of that as warm, but because of the blue we used, it's very toned and it's very cool. Okay? And I'm going to leave that here for a moment because our next mix is going to be a dark cool green. This time we made the lighter before we made the dark, and that's because it's easier to mix that way. And let's see, so we're going to need medium cool green. We're going to need 3 parts of this medium cool green, and let's see, 1 part of Taylor blue and 1.5 parts of black. So I've got 2.5 parts here, so I need to kind of match that amount plus just a little more, and maybe bring some of that back. And we know that Taylor blue goes a long way. So this is rather dark and it's rather blue. So I think I might go ahead and pull just a little more of this into it, so that we don't lose our green aspect. That's pretty. Okay, so now we have already mixed this here, which is our light cool green. And let's mix it up a little more and get it onto the wet palette because it's been sitting there a minute and it's kind of wanting to dry up a little bit. My studio is very dry and very warm, so we need to get things into the wet palette as soon as possible. So I'm going to get this off of here. Well, I meant to put it here, but it dripped there, so that's where it's going. So there's my cool greens. And I'm going to put my medium cool green right next to the light. Don't have much of that left. I may have to end up mixing that again. And then here's the dark cool green on that side. So you see your value progression, so it's easy to find what you need to find. And like I said, I would normally have wanted, here we go, light, medium, and dark cool greens, and I would normally have put them up here next to the warms, but since it dripped on my palette there, that's where it'll go. So anyway, I know the difference between the two. So I may have to make more of this, and I may have to make more of this. But there's our mixes for Module C, Lesson 8.